General Grievous is one of the coolest villains in all of Star Wars, and I don't think he gets enough time on screen, truly showcasing how evil, cunning that he can actually be. His best version is likely in the 03 Clone Wars series, but we also saw him, as you all know, in the newer Clone Wars as well as Revenge of the Sith. But the story of Grievous goes far beyond those appearances, and his first time ever in action against the Jedi was actually during the Battle of Geonosis. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Talk about where he was, how he did it, how he killed some Jedi. And yeah, it's going to be fun, so leave a like. It helps the channel more than you know. It'd be much appreciated. Thank you. Anyways, once the Battle of Geonosis began, the Separatists had to evacuate rather quickly. The Separatist leaders, including Newt Gunray. They were chased down by a couple Jedi, including Jedi Master Madu and a clone battalion, and they likely would have been caught, perhaps ending the war much sooner, if not for General Grievous, who had protected them. There isn't a story really available to read about this whole thing, like canonically, or legends that I could find. There might be, but I did some searching. Couldn't find one that I could just find without, I don't know, diving deep further than I ever want to go, but so I thought, hey, let's make up my own story with what little information we do have. So I wrote a quick little fanfiction type thing just about these events, about Grievous escaping Geonosis, and in this story, Grievous, Master Dooku, and a clone squad. So sit down, enjoy this quick little story that I created. In the dark catacombs beneath the harsh landscape of Geonosis, General Grievous, the new cyborg commander of the droid army, stood vigilant. His imposing form towered over the trembling Separatist leaders, including the treacherous Newt Gunray. Grievous knew their lives were in his hands, and he was determined to protect them at any cost, to show his new loyalty to Dooku and his Separatist cause. Meanwhile, Jedi Master Madu and her clone battalion were on a relentless pursuit. Their mission was to bring the Separatist leaders to justice, restoring peace to the galaxy before war could truly break out. Unbeknownst to them, Grievous had maneuvered himself into the hidden catacombs, a labyrinth network of tunnels that provided both protection and secrecy, as the cyborg general prepared to reveal himself. As Master Dooku and her clones ventured deeper into the catacombs, their senses were heightened. The stale air was heavy with anticipation, and the Jedi, she knew that they were getting closer to their targets, but she suspected something else, felt someone else. Little did they know it was the new cyborg General Grievous, and a flicker of excitement surged through Grievous as he prepared to face the Jedi. His glowing green eyes gleamed with a predatory instinct, his mechanical limbs twitching in anticipation. He had honed his combat skills to lethal precision under the tutelage of Count Dooku. Now it was time to unleash his wrath upon the unsuspecting Jedi and their clone companions. The first sign of Grievous's presence came as a chilling echo. The sound of his artificial cough reverberated through the catacombs, along with the loud stomping of his metal legs, sending shivers down the spines of the Jedi and the clones. They exchanged worried glances, realizing that something dangerous lay in wait. Master Dooku ignited her saber as the group came to a halt in the dark catacombs, and suddenly, the mysterious Grievous stepped forward from the shadows, his forearms brandishing 4 deadly lightsabers. The Jedi and clones were taken aback, their stumbling body language showing surprise at the sight of this unknown cyborg menace. Master Dooku's gaze met Grievous, and a fierce determination burned in her eyes. He was keeping them from the Separatist leaders, keeping them from stopping this war. And without uttering a word, Grievous lunged forward with lightning speed, lightsabers whirling in a mesmerizing dance. The catacombs became a symphony of clashes and sizzling as metal met energy blades, the air filled with the acrid scent of burning ozone. Master Dooku and her clone battalion fought valiantly, the clones' blaster bolts deflecting onto the walls back into themselves now, while Master Dooku tried to hold back this cyborg. However, the general's relentless precision and overwhelming strength were too much for them to handle. One by one, the clones fell under his relentless strikes, and as the battle reached its climax, Grievous saw an opportunity. With a swift maneuver, he lunged forward, disarming Master Dooku, cornering her against a wall. His glowing eyes narrowed, the clones around them gone, and he relished the moment before delivering the final blow. Grievous stabbed Master Do in the chest, watching her eyes fade to death as she felt the weight of her failure. This unknown cyborg, familiar in the Jedi arts, had beaten her and allowed the Separatists to escape. Because of this failure, war would begin. Grievous laughed as he looked around. He'd finally revealed himself, but unfortunately no one had lived to tell the tale. No matter, as very soon he would reveal himself to the rest of the Jedi. They would feel terror when hearing his name. So that's the quick story I made up, just to try to encapsulate the events of where he was during the Battle of Geonosis. There were a couple other Jedi, and we'll get to that in a second, but I just wanted to do the one with the Clone Battalion here, assuming Grievous took out the others a little earlier. But now, in the book Labyrinth of Evil, Grievous recalls that day and how it garnered him the respect of the Separatist leaders, so we'll get into that right now. The attitude of the Neimoidians had changed quickly enough, though, in part because they had been witness to Grievous's capabilities, but more as a result of what had occurred on Geonosis. Had it not been for Grievous, Gunray and the rest might have suffered the same fate as Poggle the Lesser's lieutenant, Sun Fac. Grievous's actions in the catacombs that day, with the Geonosians retreating by the thousands from the arena, and companies of clone commandos following them in, had allowed Gunray to escape the planet alive. Sometimes he wondered just how many clones he had killed or wounded that day. And Jedi, of course, though none had lived to speak of him. The Jedi corpses that were retrieved bespoke something atrocious that resided in those dark underground passages. Perhaps the Jedi believed that a Rancor or a Reek had shredded the bodies of their forceful comrades. Or perhaps they thought that the damage had been done by Geonosian sonic weapons set to maximum power. Either way, they must have wondered what became of the victims' lightsabers. Grievous regretted that he hadn't been able to see the reactions, but he, too, had been forced to flee as Geonosis fell. The revelation of his existence had to wait until a handful of hapless Jedi had arrived on the foundry world of Hypori. By then, Grievous had already amassed a sizable collection of sabers, but at Hypori he had been able to add several more, 2 of which he wore inside his command cloak even now. As trophies, they were superior to the pelts of hunted beings he knew that some bounty hunters had wanted to acquire. He admired the precision and care that had gone into the construction of the lightsabers. More, each seemed to retain a faint memory of its wielder. As a former swordsmaster, he could appreciate that each had been handcrafted, rather than turned out in quantity like blasters or pike weapons. He could respect the Jedi for that, though he had nothing but hatred for them as an order. So that's the story today of, first of all, Grievous being on Geonosis during the Battle of Geonosis, and being able to help the Separatists escape, and then him recalling it as he thinks about Newt Gunray, thinks about the Separatist leaders, thinks about how they now respect him because of his actions that day. Let me know, did you know about this story? Did I miss something? I tend to once in a while, so let me know. But either way, thanks a lot for watching. If you chose this video out of all the videos on the internet, that's crazy. Thanks a lot. Yeah, I do news videos or streams every morning, so check that out. And these evening lore fanfiction videos. Alright, thanks everybody, and I'll see you in the next video.